What's up guys, it's me, Jeremy. If you're anything like me, you love playing random strategies and trying out new builds, and fun off-meta builds that have potential can be few and far between. So here are 5 off-meta builds that I had a lot of fun playing with. Now I'm not promising that they'll be good, but they do have some potential and you'll definitely have fun. As well, unlike the last video, all 5 of these are definitely off-meta, and you'll really take advantage of the surprise factor with any of these picks. As well, here are some of the favorite comments from a previous video where I asked what your favorite thing from the League of Legends beta was. For a chance to be featured in a future video, leave a comment about what your favorite off-meta build is. As well, I've partnered with ProGuides.com for the editing on this video. I've personally been using them to start learning Twisted Fate, and they have a free trial that gets you full access, so you can check it out and decide for yourself if you like it or not. Anyways, let's get started. Our first champion is the one on the list that surprised me the most, and I just kind of laughed it off until I actually got the chance to play it, and it's AP Sejuani mid. Sejuani has AP ratios on every single one of her abilities, including an 80% AP ratio on her ultimate, and her damage values from building full AP are honestly really surprising. Although she can suffer a lot from poke, she has incredible crowd control, which gives her great stick potential, so even versus poke heavy champions you can still burst them down with an all-in fight once you get your ultimate. And she's a great counter pick to Assassin, since her passive does give her some nice tankiness. Her initiation power is also incredible, and her roams are so powerful, and if you get a lead you really just start one-shotting people, or even groups of people like crazy, since all of her damage is area of effect. During the laning phase is where she probably struggles the most, since a lot of matchups can be a little bit tough until you get your ultimate, or when your ultimate is on cooldown, since she doesn't really have any poke other than just going in with her Q and no real sustain either. But the thing is that a lot of poke heavy mages just aren't that popular right now, with the exception of maybe Lux, I guess. It's more so the melee assassins that are popular, which she does great against. In teamfights, she's obviously a monster, bringing crazy AoE burst and crowd control. And with her build path fitting in something like a Liandry's, she gets to be a little bit tankier too than your average mid laner. Not that tanky, don't get me wrong, but she certainly won't be getting one-shot by her opponents unless they get a lead on her like some other squishy mid laners. And since all of her abilities are area of effect, her wave clear is pretty sweet to back it all up, and all in all she's really not that bad, but is heavily dependent on the matchup you get in lane. Although because of the crowd control, you can still be pretty useful even if you do fall behind in lane. Next up, we have the champion on the list that I personally enjoyed playing the most, and it's AP Sona mid. Apart from having incredible base damage on her Q power chord combo, she also has AP ratios on every single ability just like Sejuani. Her Q power chord combo is actually a surprisingly high amount of poke in lane, and comboed with her W, her trading becomes one of the strongest in the mid lane. Once you pick up a Lich Bane, her Q power chord can hit people for over half of their health, and with an ultimate and ignite thrown in there, you can actually one-shot people, or at least one-shot them after you chunk them first a little bit before throwing out your burst. And it's such a simple combo, but the damage output is so underestimated by everyone that it really puts in a lot of work. Although we are a bit in an assassin meta right now, and it's true that Sona doesn't exactly seem like the type of champion to do well versus assassins, she's not actually that bad with a little bit of mechanical skill due to the W power chord that reduces the target's damage output by 20%. Her ultimate can also stop an engage dead in its tracks, but I would recommend probably taking Exhaust versus assassins if you aren't comfortable in the matchup. Her main problem stems from having pretty much no wave clear, which in competitive play is a really big weakness, but in solo queue it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it matters, but it's not that big. You just have to be ready to CS under the tower a little bit here and there. Apart from that, her laning is really strong as long as you're not running out of mana, and her teamfights are pretty decent because her ultimate's a really powerful tool, and the utility power chords and auras can bring to a fight is pretty awesome. Although she definitely does have some weaknesses, she's the most fun I had of any of the champions on this list, and the power she brings really shouldn't be underestimated. Alright, now for the third pick, we're starting to get into the crazy territory, if we weren't already, and it's Karma Jungle. The new Runic Echoes is a fantastic item on Karma compared to the old Runeglaive, since Karma as a champion is all about poking, kiting, and disengaging, and Runic Echoes' 10% movement speed and new passive really helps with all 3 of those things, Whereas Runeglaive was alright, but it didn't directly help contribute to the playstyle of Karma. Her clears in the jungle at first are okay, I guess, but you're extremely vulnerable to a solo invade. So you do have to watch out for that by warding, but once you pick up the runic echoes, the clears are a total breeze. And her ganks are honestly really good. All 4 of her abilities have an impact in a gank, through the crowd control in her Q and W, and the chasing ability on her E, and honestly with the crazy amount of damage she brings in the early game, her ganks are fantastic. And in teamfights, she works really well at playing with her AD carry by kiting, poking, throwing out damage when she can, and a mantra empowered Karma Shield is an initiation tool any team would love to have. However, she is super squishy, so try playing her with like a tank top laner, tank supports, to fit your team comp a little bit better. However, she does fit a nice job of fitting in with an attack damage mid laner by bringing a reliable source of AP damage to the team. As well, since her kit has such a supportive style, she can also find ways to be useful even if you're behind. And she's such a strong counterpick to the type of champions that just try to run up and melee someone like, for example, Udyr, Volibear, which are honestly popular picks in this meta right now. Karma as a champion does take a reasonable amount of mechanical skill to use her mantra to its maximum potential and kite perfectly, but it's not that difficult, and for a lot of people, a little bit more challenging mechanics adds a lot of complexity and fun to a kit. And her damage can really take people off guard, especially in the early game. Okay, the next pick again is a little bit in the crazy territory, and I'll admit this is the pick that I personally had the hardest time with, but it's AP Bard mid. This is a pick that, although it might struggle a little bit in the can be good part, it really makes up for it in the fun part. Bard only really has damage on his passive and his Q, but it's honestly kind of enough, as his Q is a really incredible ability, and his passive does add in a decent amount of poke too, and with the Lich Bane, his full damage combo of a Q and 1 auto, honestly it's pretty hard, kind of like Sona's does, and his W scales a little bit with AP too, so you'll get some awesome sustain. His E and Ultimate are, as always, really interesting tools that can lead to some hilarious fails or amazing outplays, and really just give you so much to work with in roams, skirmishes, and teamfights. Bard as a champion, even on support, is one that is a total blast to play, just because of how unique and wonderful his kit inherently is. His AP ratios aren't amazing, but his base damages certainly are, so you could even go some kind of like a hybrid build maybe instead of full AP. With Bard, the world is your oyster, and in a lot of matchups, such as versus Assassins, the poke comboed with the safety of his ultimate can bring a lot of unexpected power, and in teamfights you can set up some awesome picks with his ultimate or with his E. I do think Bard is extremely hard to play though, or, well, at least he was for me, but that's a big part of what can make him fun for a lot of people. The last pick is the one that I actually think is probably the most competitive on this list, and I messed around with it a little bit in the past, and it's Cassiopeia Support. Comboed with a Twitch, you really set up for a monster of a lane, but honestly you really don't need to play with Twitch at all. Either way, Cassiopeia as a champion in general has a crazy amount of raw DPS, and with the mechanics changed to her Twin Fangs in patch 6.2, she's become much easier to play and thus much stronger overall. Unlike in the mid lane, you get to use 100% of your mana to just straight up fight the opponents, so whereas she might suffer from mana issues in the mid lane, it's actually really surprising how often you aren't running out of mana on Cassiopeia Support. Her damage and 2v2 fight in lane is just fantastic because of the raw damage that she brings, and her ultimate can just be totally free kills with a bursty damage AD carry later on if you hit the stun. She's not as good as some other supports in teamfights though, especially if you fall behind, but if you're ahead, oh man, it's like playing a Cassiopeia mid. Because after a Sightstone you can really start to pick up some AP and deal relevant damage a lot of the time when you're ahead. And for a lot of people, the damage focused take on the support role brings a new aspect to support that wasn't there otherwise that can add in a lot of fun. You become able to make solo plays, and you're definitely going to be a huge lane bully. It's really a lot comparable to Brand support maybe, but with less poke and more sustained damage for an overall all-in fight, and without the huge ban rate and potential nerfs incoming in the future as well. It's a great option for anyone looking for a super aggressive, damage-focused take on the support role, and I had a lot of fun with her. And that's just about it. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you didn't, hit the dislike, and if this video hits 10,000 ratings, I'll make another one of these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.